For more than a decade, Nigeria has operated a multiple exchange rate system where dollar and other foreign currencies traded at a certain rate at the Central Bank of Nigeria and another rate at the parallel market. With the Apex Bank selling a dollar to 461 naira and others selling a dollar to 751 naira, the aim was to maintain optimal production and distribution of exports and maintain standard revenue. But on the other hand, it has worsened the country's debt payment. As part of creating a new monetary policy, President Bola Tinubu said in his inaugural speech that the central bank must work towards unifying the exchange rate in order to improve the influx of money while attracting more investment and boosting economic stability. Although some analysts have advised that this decision should be taken only when Nigeria has improved foreign exchange earnings from non-oil sectors, increased exportation, amongst others. We have joining us in the studio to discuss how this would affect Nigeria's CEO Finance with Mukhtar Mohammed. Good morning. Thank you for joining us on TVC Breakfast.
Good to see you. Good morning.
Now, Mukhtar, let's even break down what unification of foreign exchange is all about before we begin to look at other areas. We know that this is not the first time we are walking or trying to walk this path, and it didn't achieve much at the time, but just by way of educating our viewers, what is unification?
Unification is, in a layman language, if you want to buy dollar in Lagos, or you buy it in Abuja, or you buy it in the bank, or you buy it in the street, it's the same amount.
Okay.
So if you're saying dollar is 460, then if you go outside, it's 460. If you go anywhere, it's 460. You go to the airport, it's 460. It's not that you go to Port Harcourt, it's 425. You go to Lagos, it's 450. Or you go to Abuja, it's 480. Unification means we have one single exchange rate. We don't have to go to Nigerians in diaspora. They like doing that. They call it, oh, what's the exchange rate? And you said, oh, it's okay, don't worry. I have to go to an Aboki FX. No, you don't have to do that any longer. You just know the exchange rate. Ordinarily, if I want to look for an exchange rate in any country, you don't go to any individual web. You just go to the CBN website or the bank. They could just kick in there and tells you what the rate is. So definitely, unified exchange rate is saying that every rate will come as one. Have we achieved it before? Yes, we have. Consistently achieved it. I remember when former president, now I call him former president, Buhari came to power. The exchange rate moved, I think, from 250 to almost 500 because he refused to devalue. So at a point, he was doing at 505, 510. Then he was away, and we had an acting president. And we came with the import-export through the CBN. And that drive the rate down to where we maintain at 360. It became unified. At a point, the parallel market was even doing 354, 355. Some of them doing 350. Then the bank were even doing 360, which was fixed. So we're at that level. But again, COVID came in, destruction in the system. Then we didn't achieve that. Before that, again, we achieved it. At the point, we achieved it at 150, 160, 170, both official, before Buhari came to power. So we've had those stability. But the main challenge is because this stability is driven by external forces. It's
like
not
what?
Crude price.
Right, okay.
That seems to be our major earnings. So once there is destruction in this food price chain, crude price, we have either the price goes down, then we are not earning more of it, or there's one challenge, oil theft, we're not able to sell more of our crude, then the challenge comes in. Or again, some certain time, Nigeria in the diaspora helped. Because we have the unified exchange rate, Nigeria in the diaspora were going through the normal medium through either through money agent, Western unions. So they were bringing in the money. At a point, I think sometime in either 2015 or 2016, Nigeria in the diaspora, what they brought into the country was higher than what we made in oil in terms of remittance. So that's to tell you when the exchange rate was stable. You don't have to call, oh, the exchange is not stable. And then we had portfolio investors. They also were coming in at a fixed exchange rate. They know they will exit at that rate. So it has a lot of, we have achieved it before, but that achievement was deal on liquidity. So every problem, whether you do unification left, right, it will not attain its goal if there's no liquidity. Liquidity is all about demand and then supply.
Right.
Now, the fuel subsidy removal, which the president has championed, is easing off a lot of monies for different things. We also hear the report that the issue of oil swaps should be stopped so that people can buy fuel, crude oil from Nigeria in cash. What impact will these, because you talk about liquidity, what impact will these policies have in creating foreign exchange liquidity for Nigeria in that sense?
Okay, I would like to quote the CBN governor. He said the coming on stream of Dangote refinery is going to save the country $10 billion annually. So you can imagine we have a reserve of about 30 billion. Now we add 10 billion to it. That's about 40 billion. And within the next 4 or 5 years, he said that was going to give us almost 30 billion extra from it. So you are looking at almost 80 billion reserve in the next 5 years. Remember that we could have achieved this sometime 2012 when we had a reserve of almost 100 billion. And at that time, wanted to remove subsidy. Then we didn't achieve that because of political decisions. So then again, look at subsidy, 6 trillion. The NNPC did not remit anything to the Federation account for over a year. They only did remittance sometime in February, at the beginning of, I think, January or February. After that, they have not remitted because they said everything they make goes to payment of subsidy. And you're talking about 6 trillion. And remember, subsidy is not paid in naira. It's paid in dollar because you are bringing in the crude from a refined petroleum product from abroad. So you can imagine what that will do. So it's he has taken some of the hardest decisions. You must salute his courage to have taken those hard decisions because it's not easy to come up to your people and say, look, I'm removing subsidy, and you did it. And now you're saying, look, we must unify the exchange rate. There is a lot of advantage depending on which side you are. There's a lot of disadvantage also on the other side.
So break down the sides so that we can understand
Exactly.
Okay.
who will benefit and who may not benefit.
The long run, Nigerian benefits.
Okay.
Nigerian benefit. If you are in the side of those people that have dollar at home, thinking dollar will get to 1,000 naira, and you are not panicking, you say, well, unify exchange rates. That will bring down your investment. Then if you are a manufacturer, you imported some of your goods at 700. You sought for exchange in the parallel market at 750. And now you're hearing that there's going to be a conversion. Then you need to see how you can sell off your goods. Otherwise, others that will bring in that 600 or 650 their goods will become cheaper than your own. Then you are going to lose money. So that's why I say depend on which side you are. If you're a petroleum marketer and you are not going to import fuel because they've given you a license and you're importing it at 700 and they bring the value to 650, that means you are losing. The one that import at 650 will not be the one to sell lower. So that is on the, then on the other side, on the flip side is that, okay, you're a manufacturer. You have been getting dollar at 750 in the parallel market. You can get it at 650. That means your goods will come down. Then you are an investor. You have been thinking of repatriating your money since at 460-something naira, you have not been able to repatriate it. And now they devalue at 660, you can repatriate it. You have already made profit again without doing anything. So that's why I say depend on which side you are. But the general thing is, like I said, no matter the decision you take, if you don't attract inflow, you may get back. Now, unified exchange rate means that market forces sometimes will determine the rate. And market forces determine rate based on demand and supply. If you are not able to meet legitimate demands, then you have those rate goes up. Now, let me give you an example. We have the choke in the parallel market, not because that's a brief actual rise, value of the naira to the dollar. It's based on driven by demand and supply. Because the manufacturers that should be able to access FX in the government at 460-something, they are not able to access it. And they need to sell their goods and services. So what do? They go to the parallel market. The demand is high in the parallel market for them.
Yes.
So the parallel market, a lot of people are coming to get dollar. We don't have enough. So we sell the one we have at 700 and something. So you are at their mercy to buy because you cannot get at that at the official rate. That is the greatest challenge. The greatest challenge is not about the unification. It's about the liquidity. Will we have enough liquidity in the system? So if like what we achieved before, when you have so much liquidity, you see, before you begin to understand that there's liquidity in the system, is when the banks start telling you that, okay, you can now use your naira debit card to trade, to buy things online, or when you go abroad, then you begin to say, okay, there is stability in the system. But when you begin to hear them say, no, you cannot use more than $10, cannot use more than $20.
Which is the situation on the ground.
So that's a big challenge. That means they don't have that liquidity. That market itself, you create a market for people, and then you want to take that market, people will fight back. Now, we created a market of the parallel market. It was the government that created that market. We're giving them 200 million, I think about 200 million every week to make sure we have a stable exchange rate. And then you take away that market from them. A lot of people that access that market were like the manufacturers, people that want $1,000, $2,000, people that want to travel, they don't have the means to go and say, okay, I want to queue at the bank, I want to wait for my, they said, okay, fine, can we get it? People that are coming in at the airport, those markets were there for them. All of a sudden, you took away that market, and you didn't create another market for them, for those particular set of people to access. Because the import-export window, like the CBN have said, is the window that drives a lot of liquidity. If you want to exchange between $100 million or $20 million, you don't go to the man in the bureau de change. You go to the import-export. That's where you can get it. So most of the large transactions in terms of volume of transaction are done in the import-export window. But the part that is done in the parallel market are those people that are so much in the haste to get this money, either to travel, either to pay school fees because you don't have the time to queue, or either to bring in goods. So the demand on that parallel market is huge because of the number of people that are going there. And that's why you commented. And then we must, like you said in your report now, we mustn't forget that if you devalue the currency, that means your debt profile in terms of dollars also goes up naturally. And now that is for the government. Then for the banks, that means the evaluation also goes up because some of them have this FX. So the FX is tied at 460 something now. If you devalue the currency to about 600 or 550, like what we're hearing then, their own valuation go on without doing anything. So we are at the mercy of the dollar. But if we get the unified exchange rates correctly, which I believe we should, and be able to maintain it. Now, the problem with Nigeria has not been getting the rates stable. The problem with Nigeria has been maintaining the rate for a long time when there is a shock.
Right.
Okay.
So once the shock comes in, supply dries up. Where does the shock coming? From crude. Once there is an issue that we are not selling or where price is going down, shock comes in. There's no more supply. So that's why I agree with your report that said, people are saying, okay, do you make the non-oil sector also attract a lot of FX so that we don't have so much shock? But again, if you don't unify the rates, the non-oil sector might not attract those FX because you're talking about investors. Investors are not coming to Nigeria now, not because they don't want to come. There's a two-way exchange system. It has to work. If I bring in my money as an investor, I want to go out, I should be able to exit.
Yes.
And that is why you could see what is happening in the stock market or working in the financial market. It's just the pronouncement of the president that said, look, we unify exchange rate, we're going to remove subsidy, and we'll make sure, he made that statement categorically, boldly, and said, we'll make sure that you are able to repatriate your money as an investor back to your country that you brought it from. Those three pronouncements has been the driving force of the Nigerian financial market at the moment.
Now, in all of this, we see the difference or the differentials between the official rates of the dollar and the parallel market. What is the role of speculation in all of these? Because sometimes in the morning today, the price is different. By evening, the price is different. The next morning, the price is different. So you have to keep calling to find out what is the rate right now. Talk to us about the role of speculation.
That's speculation. You said it. That's because that's why people said the parallel market is not driven by any indices. It's just driven by, in the morning, a lot of people are not buying. If you ask the man, the bureau de change, he said, yesterday was 10 naira. Why does it come down today? He said, a lot of people are not buying. So demand. Then the evening, he said, a lot of people are buying. Now, let me give you two examples. Before Mr. President came to power, remember, it stabilized. Stabilized at 7. There was a time he even did 720. It stabilized. I thought it was going to 730.
On the parallel market?
On the parallel market. Then, all of a sudden, inauguration was getting close. Now, what happened? fear.
Yes.
A lot of Nigerians were scared. Would there be an inauguration because of the issues of that has to do with, oh, you cannot inaugurate the president, the tribunal must give judgment, the electoral committee. So some people were scared. So a lot of people were now needing FX because they want to go out of this country. And then some of them were saying, okay, we don't know what will happen. If anything happens, how do I can't use naira to go out. So they were buying a lot of dollars. So the price went up to about 780. Immediately after the inauguration, it dropped to 740, 750, and that's where it has been. So there's no any clear indices to determine what is happening in the parallel market. And that is why I keep saying that the best decision the current CBN governor took was to cancel out that market through their own supply. And remember, he did that in 2015. If he has stood by his God in 2015, by now would have been able to achieve a very stable exchange rate. And you say, it's only in Nigeria that I need exchange rate. I will have to go to the Malan on the bank and I'm going to say, oh, how much? Oh, take more. In the streets. Then there's not that there are no bureau de change outside this country, but they are organized. You walk into their offices, you do your exchange, you walk into banks abroad, they have their own foreign exchange desk where you just do your transactions. It's just, okay, where's your passport? They record of this thing. You see your passport, see your visa, you get it. You get that. You don't have to struggle for it. But in Nigeria, it's different. In other countries, you cannot exchange, maybe change from a dollar to their own currency without showing a means of ID.
But why is it like that in Nigeria, though?
Like I said, when you create a system and you're not able to monitor the system, then you have a challenge. When this came in, I think it was President Brian Babangida that came up with this parallel market issue. I can't remember. When this came in, there were less than 20 bureau de change at that time. At the time their license were revoked, we have over 5,000 bureau de change. Why is that? Look, you don't add anything. You go to the CBN, CBN give you FX at 360, and you just take it to the street. You don't need the office in the shop. You just take it to the street, and somebody buy it at 365, $5 difference, without doing anything. So that's why we kept saying that the bureau de change were not adding anything to the GDP. You cannot say Nigerian Bureau of Statistics give you, oh, this is the percentage that bureau de change have added to our GDP. And we kept giving them. We kept giving them. At a point, we get them at 360. They were selling at 450, 500. We kept giving them until it got to 600. Then the CBN said, no, we can't do that again. Oh, you have given them enough. And that shows the corruption in the system.
Right.
Because what happened when the CBN normally give the fund is almost the same thing that happens when in the subsidy regime. You can't, there's no laid down procedure. You just, oh, maybe I know somebody, director, it has even been proven that a lot of people that have FX must have the connection or they own the bureau de change that works in CBN, so they always have supply. That has not been substantiated, but that's what people say. So when you continue to do that, but when you want to do the school fees or that, they say, bring documentation, bring this, bring that. You want to travel, we need your ticket, we need your visa. Those ones were highly documented. But the way you give out the money to they were just giving them out money anyhow. Now, most of the bureau de change, when you ask them, how do you get your FX since CBN suspended giving you, they say they get it from Nigeria and the diaspora. Fine. But again, to tell you the corruption in the system, like I said, no means of ID. If you go through case file of EFCC, you realize that the bureau de change are always the conduit pipe for the corrupt government officials.
Money laundering.
The money laundering, they just go there, give them the naira, and they change the naira to dollar. Because the dollars are not even taken to the bank. They are kept in their homes. Or they are given to different people to change to do projects for them. So it's like what you talked about, when you take the subsidies and organized crime. The giving out of money to bureau de change, as what we did that for over 20 years, was more organized crime than what we have in the subsidy regime. By the time you quantify how much was given to these people for exchange and at the rate they exchange it, That is why our reserve keep depreciating. And my question has always been, if you are monitoring the bank as the CBN, why have you not been able to give the bank license, monitor them, and make sure we have a smooth exchange rate via the bank? Or you keep saying that the banks also have issues with integrity, then why are you the regulator?
Big question.
That's a big question there.
Interesting.
I think I like that one.
Right. You mentioned something earlier, talking about devaluation of the naira. There are those who are saying that for this to work, we must also look in that direction of devaluing the naira. Yes, CBN came out to defend itself recently to say that it did not devalue the naira, that report is unfounded, so to speak. How do we really go about achieving this successfully?
Look, there's no way out. We have to devalue. Let's say the truth. The difference between the parallel and the official market is too wide. Now, what caused those widening of gap? Like I said, it's supply,
yes.
demand. So now you want to attract demand. As a foreign investor, why do we not have foreign investors, both foreign direct investors and portfolio investors? I can't be bringing you money at 400 and something naira, and where the other side is at 700. And I want to exit your market, and you're not able to provide it for me. I might end up going to the other side at 750. So what? I've lost my investment. So the whole idea of devaluation is all about creating liquidity inflow. Maybe your naira was overpriced. They feel the naira was overpriced to the dollar based on your GDP, based on your export and import. Those are the challenge. Devaluation in itself is not so bad like people say. You have asked yourself that when China decided to devaluate their currency, the US shiver. Do you know why? Because when China devaluates their currency, their price of their goods and services become cheaper.
Right.
So people will now rather prefer to do business in China than coming to the US. So that's why the US will be saying, you cannot devalue your currency. So devaluation in itself is not bad. But because China have a lot of inflow in liquidity and they produce most of what they consume, and they are also exporting most of what they produce, they are tracking effects. So the best way to deal with devaluation to make sure that your currency are stable, attract inflow into your economy, and you also will be able to get inflow into your economy, a two-way system. And that is by you export goods. But you know now that most of the household items we use in Nigeria are mostly imported. CBN has been careful in saying, oh, inflation is going up, they hike the rate, which I've said in your program, just like copy and paste, just copy and paste. They're hiking rate in UK, oh yeah, you hike rate here, bam, bam. The real issues why price of goods keep going up in Nigeria has to do with the tariff and the exchange rate they pay when they bring in these goods into the country because they don't get it from the government official window for something. I can't be bringing my good at 750. You expect me to sell it lower. So that price goes up, and that's where inflation. Get the Kenya experience. It's all over. What happened? The president came just like President Tinubu has done. Said, look, subsidy going. And there was an uproar, and people said, no, the Labour Congress. He said, okay, I'll put it in diesel. People say, even if you put it in diesel, it doesn't make any difference for us. That is our means. That's like the Nigerians are complaining, everything revolves around that. You know what he did? He said, okay, see what? We will remove subsidy. We have to remove subsidy. It's not doing our economy any good. But let's look at the goods that you are bringing in. What are those goods that Kenya needs? What are those goods that we normally get foreign and that most of our citizens needs it? And they look at the food items, especially baby food, milk, and all those things for household. They look at household items that household really need. They say, you know what? I'm going to bring tariff down on those household items. So when they are bringing in, the tariff will be low. So by the time they bring it in now, you announce it that you have brought down tariff low. And then you know what they call about the price control board.
Yes.
It's not that they are fixing price. They're telling you that, okay, tariff is low. You cannot sell it
above a certain price.
A certain amount.
Yeah.
So the Kenyan people were aware. So they brought it in. Do you know that brought Kenya inflation from 15% as it stands now to 7 point something %?
Interesting.
Yep.
That is the way we should be looking at.
That is what we should be looking at. See, removal of subsidy is good. Single exchange rate is good. But without supply, it will become it will create more problem. Because when you say maybe you devalue at 600, and I still cannot get it at 600, seamlessly, what do? That means demand and supply. So it will move from 600 to 650. Remember, when you say you have a unified exchange rate, in short, that's what the World Bank and the IMF have said. He said, market forces determine your exchange rate. Now, no bank anywhere in the world will allow their currency to be floated in the market. You just float the currency, float it, and the exchange rate is whatever market. So no, what they do is that, you see the weekly intervention that the CBN normally do now. They will now say, okay, it can move to 650. We believe our currency, we have the liquidity. So they said, okay, who needs demand for FX? This person needs, okay, we're going to give him. We're going to pour in 200 million or 500 million into the system. That liquidity now bring down the price again. But you don't intervene. You intervene occasionally when you think that your currency is being battered because of supply, and you have the supply. So the basic thing is, at the end of the day, unify the rates, remove subsidy, whatever. It's all about supply. Even the subsidy that has been removed, it's all about demand and supply. If we flood the market with petroleum products, the demands are not as high as it used to be. Naturally, it will come down. Petrol attendants are now complaining because most Nigerians don't buy fuel the way they used to buy fuel before.
Yeah.
So everybody's talking, do I have to go to the island today? No, I can go tomorrow and I go and do my work everywhere I want to see. I see you on a Thursday, I am back home.
Yes.
And some Nigerians are divided means of, hey, Josephine is going to my area. Oh, can we all use your car this week?
Exactly.
Next week, you use my car. So, so a lot of strategy. So those are what we call microeconomic decision that determines price. Diesel has gone down.
Yes.
People are not asking why has diesel gone down. Cooking gas has gone down.
Yes.
People are not asking because they have it flooded in the system. I think a local Nigerian company is now involved in the production of diesel. So that's why I see the diesel price are mostly going down in Lagos. NNPC is even selling at 710. And major marketers are selling, some of them are selling at 650, some of them are selling at 570. That is the competition. Gas has gone down, cooking gas has gone down. What happened? LNG, which happened to be the best run oil and gas sector in Nigeria. The best decision that government had ever made in terms of oil and gas has been in the LNG. And what did they do? That's what we keep saying. Why can't you do that in NNPC? Why? You say government, you say, I'm a stakeholder. I'm a shareholder in LNG. Run it professionally, pay me dividends. Why can't we do that in NNPC? So those are things. It's not just about what you say, what are you going to do? At the long run, bringing down, if we get it right, we unify the rates, it will bring cost of goods and services, we will attract foreign investors, and it will create jobs. Right. But if we get it wrong, and we are not able to meet legitimate liquidity, we are in for trouble.
All right. We'll have to leave the conversation here and hope for the best. Mukhtar Mohammed, CEO Finance with Mukhtar, thank you for your time on the program.
My pleasure.
Thank you.
All right.